Hi, OP friends. Obligatory sleep report. Today, I feel like shit. Yesterday, you might have noticed that my video was much more edited down and choppy. The reason for that is there were so many ums and so like like it was annoying me just watching my video during editing. I had this OCD that kicked in me where I thought to myself, I need to remove all of these unnecessary ums. It was really pissing me off just watching myself. I started out with actually a 30-minute video, which I then edited down. I think going forward, I'm going to tell myself that I have to edit out every single and that's going to take a lot of time in editing. So I hope that this motivates me to stop using the word so much to reduce the editing time. So that's something I'm going to try out. I just feel like shit overall because this is my 15th video. This is my 15th day into going into the OP journey and coming in. I come from the Myers-Briggs world where I am trained and certified, so my entire mind is programmed with Myers-Briggs. In that world, I am an INFP. And in the OP world, I've received many preliminary typings. Initially, someone said that I was lead TI. I received the typing MF, SIFI, sleep, consume, blast, play. And I was convinced that I was savior masculine SI. I have been chatting with Benjamin. He's awesome, by the way. He is such a nice guy. His preliminary assessment of watching my video just once through, he was seeing MFFESE or MFTESE. And in yesterday's video, I went into the fact that if I were an FESE, which is essentially an ENFJ jumper, I would be closest to people like Dr. Amen, John Paul DeJoria, Richard Branson, and Gary Vaynerchuk. If I were a TESE, I would be similar to people like Chelsea Handler, Tony Robbins, and Jim Carrey. I don't feel like I'm similar to any of those people in any way. However, I do know that OP is more about functions you feel responsible for. I think I need to make that distinction in my head where coming from Myers-Briggs, the functions are more of what you identify with and how you see the world. In objective personality, it really is more which functions you're responsible for, and because you feel so responsible for it, you can't navigate away from it, whether you're aware of it or not. I almost wish that OP used different terminology because that would make objective personality a little easier to digest and a little easier to accept, because most people are coming from the Myers-Briggs world, and to make that conversion in thinking is very difficult. I have to keep reminding myself, no, these are the functions that I feel responsible for, not the ones that I identify with. This is the moment in my journey, only 15 days in, where I feel like I want to quit. I feel very discouraged. I feel very unsure. And this whole video series was supposed to be just me documenting my experience coming from Myers-Briggs, but yesterday I just wanted to delete all my videos. I don't know. I'm just not feeling good about everything, and I'm going to keep going because just think of me as your undercover journalist going into the OP world. I really want to bring you guys with me to explore that world and understand what it means to go from the Myers-Briggs way of thinking into OP. And it's not easy. It's definitely been difficult for me mentally and emotionally, as silly as that sounds. One of the things I'm fighting most is the fact that in Benjamin's initial assessment of me, FI was not anywhere on my stack. I went in sure that I was FINE or some variation of that. And so to know that FI is not in my OP stack is it's disappointing, and it's difficult for me to accept. And I want to explain the reason why Benjamin says that there is no FI in my answers. He says that the question which was supposed to pull out the FI was the question, what is most important to you? And on that question, and by the way, when I answered those questions, I intentionally did not look at them ahead of time because I didn't want to come in planning it and cherry picking stories that I was going to use to support each answer. And so I intentionally did not look at it until I actually sat down and recorded the video. When I read off the question, I drew a blank immediately because I was scanning my entire catalog of memories, experiences, thoughts, preferences, and the question was broad. What is important to you? And I wanted to pull out the best thing. In order to pull out the best thing, I needed to narrow down in my mind in what world, in what realm, because my mind just went out immediately into millions of different ways, and I needed some constraints to narrow it down. And that apparently was the defining moment in which my FI did not show up. He is actually typing another lead FI lady at the moment. And he says that when she got to that question, she immediately jumped in and spent 15 minutes talking about what's important to her and what is of high priority to her. And I wasn't able to do that. I drew a blank because I needed to know specifically what realm are you talking about? It's very difficult for me to accept that I don't have FI high in my stack. And I don't know what to do about that. This is the first function where I feel very sad about it and almost like I want to be up in arms to defend it and say, you got to be kidding me. I am high in FI. I wanted to explore the possibility of me being savior TE. TE means that you value feedback from the tribe. This is really hard for me to accept and to talk about, but I realize now from an OP standpoint that I do feel responsible for the tribe. I don't like saying that at all. I always thought that I was very separate from the tribe, hate the tribe, fuck the tribe. I've always been that way. I understand now that I do feel responsible for the tribe. And if I didn't, I wouldn't have feelings of insecurity and self-esteem issues. Plain as that. Because I care so much about what the tribe thinks, that's why I've dealt with a lifetime of issues stemming from resentment, wanting to say fuck the tribe, screw them anyway, they're all sheep mentality and conformists. I always felt that angsty side of me that hated the tribe. But deep down, I have to admit that I wouldn't have these feelings of being not good enough or being rejected or not included or feeling like I'm stupid. And all of these feelings come from essentially me comparing myself with the tribe and from the feedback, whether it's real or just in my perception, the feedback from the tribe. That logically makes sense, but it's very hard for me to accept. So I understand now why he would say that FE or TE is likely my savior. I don't like it, but I don't have to like it. This is the process of OP. So my intention is, as much as I want to quit, as much as I want to delete all my videos because I just feel silly for posting all of them, I'm going to continue because I want to see this through. And I think the final boss is going to be me getting typed by Dave and Shan. And I want to know from their perspective what my OP type is. I need to keep this separate from my Myers-Briggs identity because no matter what I am in OP, I will always be an INFP in the Myers-Briggs world. That will never change. I will always identify with that. But again, there's only 16 types in Myers-Briggs. So I'm open to understanding OP and I'm open to seeing where I fall in the 512 personality types in OP. I want to discover that. I need to. I have a responsibility and an obligation to myself to understand that because I am obsessed with self growth and knowing myself. That is something that has always been of high priority to me ever since I was a kid. And so I need to see this through, no matter how shitty it feels. Yesterday, while I was editing my video, I didn't like who I was becoming. I originally started this channel to practice speaking, and the easiest topic to speak about for me was personality typing. I realized that I just didn't like who I was becoming. If you watch my first video and then you watch my most recent video, it's like my voice gets higher, my body and my hands become more animated, and I was just annoying the crap out of myself just watching myself. And so I had to have another stern talk with myself and tell myself, stop it. You don't have anything to prove to anyone, so stop it. It doesn't matter who watches, it doesn't matter how many subscribers you get. It also doesn't even matter how you look, because that was never the intent of this. So why is all of that suddenly taking over your mind? Why do I have to prove certain things by my mannerisms and topics? I don't. I have nothing to prove. I have nothing to prove. I'm simply documenting this journey. So while I was editing my videos, not only was I incredibly unhappy with all of the ums and so's and my high-pitched voice, but I even made a list of things that I wanted to change. And my list says, sit up straight, stop looking at the camera, stop swaying your hands, stop saying right. And oh, and at the very bottom of my list, I have lose weight, because in a lot of my videos, I feel like I have a double chin situation going on. And so this is another thing that I really don't like is I always wanted to just have this channel as a way to practice speaking, and now I'm suddenly becoming even more insecure about the way I look and talk and everything. And that's just so dumb. I also wanted to let you guys know that my videos are going to be published later in the evenings going forward. For the last 2 weeks, I've been really behind on my homework and just staying on top of my life. Everything was suffering because all I would do is record my videos, try to edit them, post them, and then reply back to comments all over the place, Discord, Facebook. The priorities in my life were not falling in the right place. So starting yesterday, I promised myself that I was going to record my video in the morning, don't touch it, and I would have to finish homework. And as a reward, I would get to edit and post my videos. I will continue to do the daily videos, but I have to shift some things around in my life because this is not making sense. I don't want the rest of my life to fall apart just because of these YouTube videos, because that's stupid. So I'm gonna change the topic and just go back to being my INFP self, observing the world for a second, because that's where I feel comfortable and safe. I wanted to know if some of you INFPs also feel the same, but yesterday I had to hop on a Zoom call, like a meeting, and do you guys also get super like sick, nauseous, anxious, nervous about meetings and video calls? Because I hate phone calls and meetings because I'm always so worried about how I'm going to come across. I'm going to come across as spacey or stupid or uneducated or not knowledgeable about certain topics. I've always had so much anxiety around calls and around presentations. Anything where I felt like I had to prove myself is where it made me sick. It made me sick. I was on a remote team a few years ago. There was probably 30 or so people on our weekly remote calls. And that week, I was assigned the position to give a presentation on behalf of our team. And those situations just make me sick. And the entire half hour leading up to the presentation, I was just so sick, looking over my notes, just thinking, oh my God, what if I just black out in the middle of my presentation? What is everyone gonna think? And so I literally had a notepad, and all over it, I scribbled like a mad person. I'm excited, I'm excited, I'm excited. Because I read in a book that nervousness and excitement are really the same emotion. By telling yourself that you're excited when you're nervous, you can think of it as your body preparing yourself for that moment. So even though you feel like you're going to throw up and your stomach is in knots and you feel numb and tingly and sweaty, if you tell yourself that you're excited, it actually, whenever I'm going into a situation where I just feel sick to my stomach and so nervous, it's because of what others think about me, right? It's my responsibility to the tribe that I never knew that I had, that creates all of these comparisons and me not feeling good enough. And so, yeah, I think from that perspective, from the OP world, I do relate to all of Jim Carrey's struggles, because towards the beginning of his career, a lot of people did cringe and think of him as, wow, this guy would literally do anything to get a cheap laugh. That was sort of his initial reputation. And it's because he's trying to get reaction from the crowd by being this character. And as he goes through life, he confronts all of that. And now he's just this incredible, wise, philosophical person. And I love everything he's discovered later in his life. And I relate to his messages so much, because it is that battle of dealing with the tribe versus what you want. And from that perspective, I'm open to the possibility of being TESE. I don't like it. I don't have to like it. I'm open to it. Lastly, to end this on a somewhat positive note, I'm really excited for tomorrow because my husband and I ordered these Purple seat cushions. If you guys don't know Purple, they are the mattress company that has those squishy purple grid technology in their mattresses, and they have these top of the line seat cushions, and they're like $100 a pop. So with shipping, we're both in at around 250, which is a lot for a seat cushion, but we do spend most of our day sitting in front of our computers doing creative projects or studying or learning or doing work or answering emails. Most of our day is sitting in front of the computer. So it felt like a good investment. We barely sit on the couch. We barely hang out in the bedroom or on the bed. We're always sitting on our chairs. That's coming tomorrow, and I'm really excited about it because I am all about comfort. We've obviously never tried the cushions ourselves in person, but the reviews online are just so spectacular, and there's just thousands of them. So we're gonna try it out, and I'll let you guys know how it is. This is not like a paid sponsored ad or anything like that. I'm just a huge fan of comfort. When it comes tomorrow, I'll let you guys know how it arrives, like the packaging, and ultimately just how it feels. That's all the updates I have for you guys today. I'm not feeling great about this journey, but I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going and just see where it leads me to. Thank you for watching my ridiculous videos. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye. And and but and so I again on and because but so anyway and and or so I'm confused as to okay so yeah, okay, but I but and so like like something